Hi there, it's Emily Juries, licensed clinical mental health counselor. This episode is about fertility or infertility and coping with some of the difficult emotions and circumstances that can arise for some people on this journey. I am on my own fertility journey and have experienced stress, loneliness, and isolation, anxiety, grief, hopelessness, shame, disappointment, and plenty of other emotions. I recently was interviewed on Jill Cruz's podcast, speaking to these emotions and mindsets that helped me through it. So I decided to have an accompanying episode where I can more specifically share possible helpful coping tools. To begin, I want to briefly expand on the difficult emotions that I experienced and how they make sense, in case this is something that other people might be able to relate to. So, anxiety was a major factor in this journey. And as a clinician, I fully understand that stress and anxiety are not helpful in fertility, but it's not something we can just turn off because we know that. In fact, knowing that made it harder at times because then I would feel stressed and anxious about feeling stressed and anxious. When you've been trying to conceive for several months, so much uncertainty germinates. Will this ever happen for us? How will it happen? When will it happen? And those are big questions, and the answers to those questions are life-changing. So it makes sense to have anxiety with those unknowns. There was also a lot of grief in the beginning. When everyone around you seems to be getting pregnant immediately after getting off of birth control or even accidentally before trying, a part of you assumes it will happen for you right away as well. So each month that it didn't, there was grief and sadness and disappointment that it didn't happen that month. Then there's the loneliness and isolation, which were really big factors. I had my partner to talk things through with, and he was supportive and available, but we didn't experience the same kinds of thoughts and feelings at the same time. We have honestly been in very different emotional places for a lot of this journey together. And I had unconsciously decided to not tell anyone when we had started trying. Why? I'm not really sure. Reflecting back now, I have to assume it ties in with the shame that I'll be speaking to momentarily. But I felt lonely in having a different experience than my partner, and I felt isolated that I was having these anxieties and moments of grief without talking to other supports about it. And shame was the primary barrier in being open with friends and family. Shame told me that there was something wrong with me and something wrong with my body. Shame told me that my body wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing. And shame told me to keep quiet about it so that no one will know of this fatal flaw. I'm fortunate to have the training and support and resources that I have because I was able to manage these distressing emotions fairly well. I made sure to take good care of myself, pay attention to the signals from my body of what was helping and not helping, and take actions that would directly address some of my needs around the situation. So now I'm going to switch over to talk about a few of these actions and perspectives that helped me feel differently about my journey. So, step 1, prioritizing self-care. First and foremost, I had to audit how I was doing with basic needs and find time in my days and weeks to fit in intentional self-care. It's important to do an audit on your sleep, nutrition, water intake, activity levels, substance use, and having time for things that can lead to positive emotions. Once you've reflected on all these areas, you can work towards small goals to improve. For me, I wanted to increase movement, water, and vegetables, and I wanted to reduce drinking alcoholic beverages socially. An important consideration is often time, especially when it comes to incorporating movement. I didn't come up with one set routine and then stick with it every single day, but I did experiment with going to bed earlier, waking up earlier, trying out different morning routines to fit in some more movement. Specifically for me, yoga, which brings me to the next step. Step 2, practice listening to your body. Listening to our bodies is important for a lot of reasons. Our body tells us when we're hungry and thirsty, what nutrients we're missing, when we have to go to the bathroom, when we have reached our limits, when we have unmet needs, what emotions we have going on. If we pay close attention to signals from our body and practice listening to it, we will be better attuned to our own needs and better able to meet those needs. And when we can be more attuned with our body, we have a closer, more loving, more appreciative, and more respectful relationship with our body, which is hugely important when you're having thoughts relating to your body not working as it should. There are lots of ways to practice listening to your body. It can be particularly useful around meals and cravings, exercising, and when you have shifts in your mood and emotions. You can begin to practice scanning through your body when you have those cravings, urges, and emotions, looking for areas of tension, tightness, aches, pain, contraction, tingling, shaking, coolness, warmth. You can also practice meditations, which has you observe your present experience non-judgmentally and often encourages body scans and fully experiencing the moment with your whole body. The way I practice listening to my body was with meditation and yoga. Specifically, I follow Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube, and she does a fantastic job guiding yoga practices in a way that encourages you to build your awareness of sensations going on in your body. Some of her frequent phrases are find what feels good and see feelingsly, both referring to using cues from your body to guide your practice. For me, yoga is an exercise. It's a moment of self-care where I can connect and respect my body. And don't get me wrong, I did not enter yoga with that purpose, and I did not have the love and respect for my body that I do now. But with taking time to listen to my body, connect to my body, over time, I built more and more appreciation and respect for it. All right, step 3, counseling. This one I don't have much to expand on. I got a new therapist to give myself an additional support and a safe space to work through my feelings so that I didn't have to rely on only my partner to be a support. Which brings me to the next step. Step 4, talk about experiences and feelings with trusted family members and friends. Once I had opened up about my feelings in counseling, it became easier to slowly start opening up to more people. I didn't tell everyone I knew all at once. That route felt overwhelming and not suited for me, but that could be suited for you depending on your journey. But I slowly started to talk to my sister, and then my mom, and then my best friends about the fact that we have been trying to conceive without success. And I was able to share my feelings about it. I found it really important to share my feelings in order to receive the type of support I was looking for. If I just said, we've been trying for a long time without success, and waited for their response, I noticed that people really don't know what to say back to that. And rightfully so. They don't want to immediately pity you or indicate that that's a bad thing. But they also have a sense that you could be upset or stressed about it since conceiving is your goal and hasn't happened yet, which would typically lead to that sympathy response. But if I also communicated, it's been really disappointing each month and I feel stressed about needing assistance from doctors, then they can specifically support me in those feelings. Yeah, I can understand feeling disappointed when you expect another outcome. It is stressful to imagine this journey looking different than how you pictured it. I feel very lucky that I have supportive and mostly non-judgmental people in my life. I know that not everyone has that and that you could receive reactions that possibly worsen your feelings. The tips that I have about that are to 1, be sure to choose people that you typically feel emotionally safe around if possible. And 2, Share your feelings, as I mentioned above, so that you kind of navigate where you need support. And 3, take what you want and leave what you don't. Sometimes it's still beneficial to tell someone about the experience and your feelings, regardless of their reaction. So you can take that benefit, and then if their reaction's not useful, try to let what they say kind of roll off your back, and then see if you might be able to find support elsewhere, like a therapist or the person you're trying to conceive with, if that's accessible for you. All right, next step, step 5, practice mantras. Some of us might have some preconceived ideas on what mantras are and how they're used. But here I'm using the word mantra to describe a phrase that you can repeat and return to that helps feel soothing and helps redirect your thought process. For me, I dealt with loops of negative thoughts related to my body not being able to do what it's supposed to do, or something being wrong with me, and also loops of anxious thoughts about what am I going to do if I don't get pregnant this cycle? Will this ever happen for me? What will I be willing to do to make this happen? What are other options I should be considering? I did okay with catching these thoughts and trying to improve my thinking, find ways of working through them in constructive ways. But what really helped me a lot was finding the right mantras and using those to drop my negative thought habits and land in a more soothing spot. I will list some of the mantras I used here, but it's important to find ones that resonate with you. You know that it resonates by how your body responds, hence our practice of listening to our body. When my chest tightens and pressure builds, I know that mantra in that moment is not working for me. But if I notice a softening in my chest, I know that mantra is sitting well. As you listen to my mantras, you might notice your body react in different ways. All right, here are some of the ones that I used. I am whole. I have everything I need. I am supporting life. My body is capable of supporting life. I am enough. I am creative. I contribute to living things around me. My body allows me to support living things around me. I am grateful for my body. Getting pregnant is inevitable. I am pregnant with a healthy baby. I will admit, I was skeptical of those last 2 that are more manifestations than mantras, but my body responds really well to them most of the time, so I use them. And these mantras go well with the final step. Step 6, culminate a new perspective and mindset. The previous steps were crucial in developing a new perspective, but I should add that guided meditation courses in the 10% Happier app, the books that are listed on my website, and other things like the Live Fertile YouTube channel with Kendra Tolbert were also very big parts in my perspective switch. There were 3 key points of wisdom that kind of stuck with me and helped me build a practice that ultimately led me to feel less anxious, more at peace, and grateful with the journey that I'm on. 1 was attachment or craving or wanting leads to suffering. 2 is that all living things will die, including myself, and life is sacred. 3 is every living thing on earth is connected, so every living thing is contributing to other living things in some way. These 3 points all work together in a way that was really important for me, because the thing is, I felt so attached to this outcome of becoming pregnant, because I assigned my value and my worth around becoming a mom. Hence the anxiousness at not knowing how or when that would happen. But if I can recognize that we're all connected and all impacting one another, then I can better see that I have value and worth and an impact on others already, even without being a mom. And I can trust that I will continue to have an impact on others regardless of my future. I do not need to rely on becoming a mom for meaning or purpose or impact. And then recognizing that my life is sacred is important in reminding me to live how I want to live. It encourages me to give myself and this journey a purpose regardless of future outcomes. The purpose I'm assigning to this journey is how much I've learned about myself. I've experienced new levels of anxiety and loneliness that help with my empathy and connection to other people. And I can have a purpose in the present through strengthening existing connections, taking care of my body and other living things, and taking care of the planet. In conclusion, I have been able to land in a peaceful place of knowing that my life is important, knowing that I'm contributing to and supporting life already, and trusting that this will continue to remain true in my uncertain future. I know that some of my language used here might be perceived in different ways or possibly doesn't all make sense. So once again, take what you want and leave what you don't. These are some things that helped me feel at peace, and I hope it can possibly help you in some way as well. I wish you all the best.